Hey, listeners. My name is Elisha, the founder of the Witnesses podcast. It's so beautiful to have you listening to our podcast. And I want you to know something that means a whole lot to me. Thank you for tuning in. And one thing I love to tell all of our listeners is it's not just about you listening, but listening to understand. Understanding is the most important thing. So important. So, you have to listen, learn, and practice. Thank you so very much and happy listening.
Hi, Patti. It's so nice to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Elisha. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
That's so good. Okay, Patti, oftentimes I love to talk about the essence of this show, which is to invite amazing guests, amazing guests like Patti, to come talk to us about their triumphant stories, because we believe that in our audience, there might be someone who is stuck up in a situation that Patti came out of triumphantly. So by that person or people listening to Patti speak, they might pick an information from you that will lead to their transformation. So the essence of the show is to cause transformation in the lives of our audience. So it's all about transformation. So within the next few minutes, Patty, let us get started with your story, the challenges that you faced, and how you overcame them. Then afterwards, I've got some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Patty, let's get started.
Okay. Okay. Well, excuse me. The greatest challenge that I will share today has been my divorce. I went through a divorce many years ago when my son was 18 months old. Um, I met my ex-husband in college. It was a wonderful relationship, and the divorce came out of left field. I wasn't expecting anything like that. I thought we were just overtired parents, lack of sleep because of our new baby, and come to find out he wasn't happy in the marriage. So um, it was a moment of complete fear and sadness, loneliness, overwhelm. I mean, all the emotions, and it was a time of true test of faith and belief. And by my faith and um, knowing that um, we were being guided, I was being guided. Um, I came out the other side, and it's been you know a rocky road, but it's been a beautiful experience. And I have to say that some of our most challenging experiences in life are our greatest opportunities for growth. And although we don't see it in the moment, we can always look back on them and realize that, oh, okay, now I get it. I understand why I had to go through that. And so that, yes, that was a very challenging time.
Okay, so that's going to lead us into the questions. Are you ready, Patty?
I am ready.
All right. So, mm, um, what are the 3 steps a divorced woman should take when it comes to our money? You got that?
Yeah, so finances are a very big topic. Money is of great concern, especially as you navigate divorce and you're out on your own. Now you're leading your life alone. If your husband took care of the finances, you're possibly learning everything for the first time. So it can be very, very scary. I happened to be in my marriage. I was the one who managed the money and did the investing. My ex-husband didn't understand anything, and it wasn't his interest. So I took care of everything. But it's so important. So one of the first things I always say is give yourself some grace and give yourself some time to take care of you. You're going through a very difficult time. There's a lot of emotions that you're facing, and good financial decisions never come from a place of emotional trauma and trying to get through something like that. So give yourself some grace, give yourself some patience. Don't beat yourself up and say, oh, I should know this, and I'm embarrassed. There's a lot of shame around me not knowing money. I've heard a lot of that, and I want to just squash that completely, because we didn't learn this stuff in school, and if we didn't learn it from our parents at home, it just was sort of the school of hard knocks, and oftentimes something like this creates that. So love on yourself is the first thing I want to say. And then I would say get a very good understanding of where you're at today financially. So what I mean by that is really sit down and take a look at everything you have coming in, all your income from whatever sources, whether it's a job, a side business, if you're retired and getting Social Security and a pension, or you have rental income or whatever it is. I want you to look at all the monies that are coming in and then get a really good understanding of what's going out. We don't like the word budget because it sounds very restrictive, but it's really important to understand where our money is going. And then we can fill the holes of, okay, we see that this is happening here. We need to cut back here. Or, gosh, I have more extra money every month than I thought. I can really plan on doing some more investing. Or it just is, it's a very eye-opening experience. And although it's very simplistic in nature, it's really very important to do that. So look at what, cash flow. That's really it. You have to look at what's coming in, what's going out. And then I want you to take a look at your net worth. I want you to look at what you own. If you own a home, if you own assets like retirement funds, 401ks, IRAs, brokerage accounts, any assets that you have, that's on the asset side of your portfolio, so to speak. And then look at your debts. If you've got a mortgage against your home, that's going to affect your value, so to speak, as far as what your net worth is in that home. So we're looking at assets minus liabilities, and so you look at all your assets, you look at all your liabilities, and that includes credit card debt, school loans, car loans, anything like that, and then you have an idea of what your net worth is. So those two numbers, kind of understanding cash flow, understanding net worth, those two combined are really going to be a great place for you to start when it comes to, okay, now what do I do? Now I need to look at how to invest, what to invest. I've got this much money coming in every month, and this is why I manage the money. So that's the starting point. Give yourself some grace. Don't make any big decisions when it comes to money. As you're healing, the first 6 months or so, as you're navigating, getting through the trauma of a divorce, or whether you've lost your husband to passing or whatnot, and then really get a good understanding of where you are financially. So those are the 3 steps.
I got that. Okay, so sorry. What are the common struggles you see with women and money?
Yeah, the most common struggles that I see are their relationship with money, and as I mentioned earlier, they tend to beat themselves up because they don't know what they think they should know. So they're frustrated with not understanding investing, not comfortable with talking about it, not comfortable with managing it. There's a lot of shame, there's a lot of embarrassment, there's a lot of overwhelm and fear. And if you're coming from that place of not feeling comfortable and not knowing monies and whatnot, it's very disempowering. And so I really encourage you to, again, like I mentioned earlier, give yourself some grace and get yourself an opportunity to learn. There's all kinds of opportunities that you can reach out to start to understand. There's some great books out there. Be careful about what you see online, because there's a lot of things that's incorrect online, and there's a lot of things that are very correct and very good. Just be mindful of what you're reading and what you're watching. But there's so much opportunity out there for you to learn, and just take your time in learning that. But again, some of those emotional factors are the biggest struggle that I see.
Okay, so how did you navigate your divorce and raising a toddler? You mentioned now your child was 18 months old when the divorce occurred. So how did you go about it?
Yeah, boy, that's a journey. It was a 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 3 steps forward, 4 steps back. I mean, it was just a gyration of every day, taking it one day at a time. I leaned heavily on my support system. I have wonderful parents. I have wonderful sisters who helped. I have wonderful friends, and I leaned on them for support emotionally. I wasn't embarrassed to get help. I actually just reached out wherever I needed to. At the time that I had went through the divorce. I had stayed home with my son. I wanted to raise him until he got into school. I was in corporate banking prior to having my son, and we had actually tried for 5 years to get pregnant, couldn't get pregnant, and finally did by in vitro. And I was so blessed and excited that I was pregnant. Last thing I wanted to do was put him in daycare. So when I went through my divorce, I was at home with him, and now I had to figure out what to do with. Okay, I've got to find some income, and I got to get a job, or I've got to do something. But motherhood was my first and foremost responsibility and desire. So I landed in the mortgage business, which allowed me to work at home and have flexibility with my schedule. It was great. Um, so it was a gyration of emotional healing, physical healing. I made sure I exercised. I made sure I ate good. I wanted to be my best because I wanted my son to see me at my best, or to um, have a mom who was healthy emotionally and mentally. And just at that young age, I didn't want him to see me, crying all the time, which I was doing behind closed doors. And so it was a very slow process. It was a very slow process. And I remember this was a great analogy. I remember I was in a therapist. I was meeting with my therapist, and she had used the analogy. She goes, because I went in there and I said, I'm just so frustrated with being so sad all the time. I want to feel better. I want to feel, myself again. And it's not happening. And this is just, I wanted to heal fast, and it just wasn't happening. And she goes, this kind of healing and emotional healing is much like a physical, healing. If you were to get into a car accident and you completely crushed your leg and broke all your bones and tore your muscles and rip that leg up, to smithereens. You can't, want it to heal fast. You have to let nature take its course. You've got to make sure go to the doctor and you clean it out. You take the right medicine, you rest, you put your leg up, allow the healing to happen. And you can't will your leg to heal faster. You've got to be patient and let that course. So it was a great analogy for me. And I sort of accepted the fact that my healing was going to take a while. And I knew I was going to get on the other side of it, just like I knew that if I was in an accident, my leg would eventually heal if I took care of it right. If I tried to run on it, out of the gate, I would cause more damage and it would not heal well. So I had to, slow down to speed up, so to speak. So I allowed myself to just take care of me, take care of my son, and let time heal. And that's what I did. So it was a journey though. It doesn't happen fast, and it doesn't happen, in one linear line. It's like I said, it's, forward, backward. And then eventually you just start to move forward. And I think that's anything in life. If you've got a illness or you've got anything else you're struggling with, that's just the way of dealing with trials and, challenges.
Beautiful, and here you are today, standing beautifully, fine, and all of that. And part of the stuff that you've said is actually going to help people that are in your the situation you overcame. There are some people stuck in this situation that you came out of triumphantly. So the amazing words that you've spoken so far, I tell you, it's actually going to help them. I'm so sure and confident about that. Okay, so Patty, we've got just one more question to go. And the question is, let's say there is one piece of advice you'd like to give to the audience. What would that be? And let's say there are some people who like to reach out to you, learn more about what you do. How can that be possible?
Sure. The one piece of advice, it sort of ties into what I said earlier, is give yourself grace. Just really focus on self-love. And I know that's very cliche, and it's, self-care is an overused word these days. We hear all the time, oh, self-care, self-care. But we really need to address that, especially in these days. There's a lot of stuff happening in the world, and there's a lot of um, things that are scary. And if we get caught up in all the fear, we get caught up in all the news. I don't watch the news because I don't get tied into that, what they suck you into, this vortex of fear. And I just have no interest in going down that path. I can't control what happens. I care, of course, but I can't control what Congress does or what, happens in the wars. I mean, it's heartbreaking. But if I can't physically myself control something, it just eats up my energies and my ability to serve my community, my family, and do what I can do. So fill your cup, take care of you, and do whatever it is that you do that makes you happy, as far as working out, exercising, getting physical, taking good care by eating well, um, really being mindful of drinking lots of water. I'm, obviously pray and meditate. I try to spend time in nature. I mean, all these little things you can do to help you navigate, during any difficult time, whether it's a divorce or anything else. It's just really important to take time for ourselves. And this, it seems like society now is very fast. Everyone's just moving at the speed of light, and move, and hustle and grind, and hustle and grind. And we've got to just, step back and let ourselves breathe a little bit. So, be okay with that. Be okay with stepping back and taking care of you, and try not to get caught up in, the fears of everything around you, because that does no good. That does not help at all. And if you're not living in faith, you're living in fear. And if you're living in fear, you're not living in faith. So it's like, it's one or the other, right? So better to live in faith than to live in fear. Easier said than done sometimes. I get it. But if you are mindful of it, just bring yourself back to the faith. Yeah. And then your second question with regards to how do people find me. So my website is the best place. It's just my name. It's pattyhandy.com. It's PattiHandy.com. And there's a free download on the homepage. It's an ebook that I wrote called Women Soaring Solo. And it's some financial tips as well as 50 ways to flourish after divorce. It's 50 ways that I did different things in my life to flourish after my divorce and how I healed. And then there's a short training to watch that's also complimentary. So jump on the website, and then the website also has different ways you can work with me. I do one-on-one private coaching. You can buy the Minding Her Money course. So it's all there to take a look at. And if you have any questions, I do on my contact page have a calendar, and you can book a complimentary discovery call with me as well.
I love that. I love that. Patti said it is better to live faith than in fear. I felt that. Very deep word. Okay, so that's gonna be the end of the show, Patti. Thank you for honoring the invite. Thank you for blessing us with such insightful words. I tell you, the listeners are definitely going to benefit from the words you've spoken so far. Thank you so very much, Patti. Thank you.
Thank you, Elisha, for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning in to this incredible episode. Your support means the world to us, and we truly value you. We look forward to having you join us for the next episode. If you enjoyed what you heard, please consider rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. Your feedback is greatly appreciated.